All right, fantastic. So our next speaker, Amanda Netburn, is an oceanographer at the Office of Ocean Exploration and Research at NOAA. Let's see what Amanda has to say.
Thank you so much for including me in this program today. I'm pleased to be presenting about a new federal initiative to map, explore, and characterize the seafloor and waters of the United States. I'm presenting today on behalf of the National Ocean Mapping, Exploration, and Characterization Council, an interagency group tasked with carrying out the ambitious initiative that I will be sharing with you today and inviting you to inform and participate in its implementation. Over the last couple of years, there have been a number of high-level policy drivers that emphasize the need for robust, standardized data and information about the ocean. This started with the June 2018 executive order regarding the ocean policy to advance the economic, security, and environmental interests of the United States. This executive order created a high-level interagency ocean policy committee to coordinate federal activities in the ocean. A few months later, the document Science and Technology for America's Oceans outlined goals for ocean science in the next decade. These included things like understanding the ocean and the Earth system, promoting economic prosperity, and growing the blue workforce. This document identified supporting ocean exploration and characterization as an area of immediate opportunity for research and technology activities. About a year later, the White House brought together over 100 leaders and experts from philanthropy, private sector, academia, and the government to identify opportunities for partnerships on ocean science and technology. Once again, ocean exploration was highlighted as one of the focal areas for this event. Just days later, a presidential memo, the Memorandum on Ocean Mapping of the United States and the Shoreline and Nearshore of Alaska, tasked the Ocean Policy Committee with developing a strategy to map, explore, and characterize the U.S. This memo gave the Ocean Policy Committee 180 days to develop the strategy, and this was released just back in June. On the next slide, I'll run through the high-level goals of this strategy, but one of the things that it did was set out some governance structure for interagency coordination on this. So there are now several working groups that have started to meet over the last several weeks. And that gets me to the last item, which is the implementation plan. So now we're starting to figure out all the meat that's going on in here. What are the nuts and bolts of what we're going to do next? And this is really where we're turning to you today, is to start getting input from everybody from, academia, private sector, anyone who has a stake in the game in ocean science. We're interested in ensuring that your priorities are met, that we include you in the execution of this ambitious endeavor, and all work together in the coming weeks, months, and decades that we expect these goals will take. There are 5 goals of the national strategy. The first goal is to coordinate interagency efforts and resources. So we've all started to meet and we'll continue to do so on a regular basis moving forward. 2, map the U.S. EEZ. Third is explore and characterize priority areas. And this has multiple steps within it, right? We need to first identify what the priority areas are. Once again, an area where we're going to be relying a lot on our partners to help us inform. And then what are all the different assets? What does everyone have to bring to the table, and how do we coordinate on executing those assets to reach our goals? 4, develop and mature new and emerging science and technologies. What are the sensors and platforms that are going to be able to get us further, deeper, cover more ground in order to be able to meet our goals? And finally, and most importantly here, is to build public and private partnerships. We recognize the scale of this endeavor, and it's going to require all hands on deck and strong partnerships to ensure efficient use of all of our resources. So just to really get at the scope of the problem that we're presenting with you today, all the areas here that are shaded in either pink or red are areas of the U.S. exclusive economic zone that haven't yet been mapped using multi-beam bathymetry. As you can see, it's a lot of area, and much of it is in far-flung and challenging environments. Now imagine if we were then to overlay exploration data, characterization data, where it actually requires in situ sensors, potentially collection of actual specimens. We'd have to be shading even more of this map. So this is a huge undertaking that we're talking about. Finally, I want to share some ways that you can get involved. So the Ocean Policy Committee and the governance beneath it are now developing an implementation plan. The final version of that is expected in June of 2021, and we're looking for input at all stages in the development, starting immediately. So you're all here at this meeting. There'll be opportunity for discussion during the Wednesday workshopping sessions. We're also going to soon be putting out requests for information to be published in the Federal Register. There'll be a list of questions that we're looking for to get specific feedback on various topics that will inform development of this plan. We're going to host a series of public virtual listening sessions, so this will be opportunity to hear a little bit more of the details of the draft plan and provide your direct input. We'll continue to participate in various conferences, workshops, and forums like this one, again, to share more of the details of the plan and engage in further discussion that can inform this effort. And finally, want to emphasize that opportunities for input are going to be ongoing. We're looking for input as the plan gets drafted. We'll look for feedback on draft versions of it. And this is intended to be a multi-decade effort. So we plan to, revisit this implementation plan and in many ways treat it as a living document that can evolve as technologies and assets and availability evolve. If you have any immediate thoughts, you're welcome to reach us at this email, nomec.execsec@noaa.gov. And our council co-chairs are John Haynes at USGS, Alan Leonardi, and Rear Admiral Shepard Smith at NOAA. Thank you so much for listening to this talk.
Thank you for Amanda for describing this new effort to map the EEZ.